Ensuring a safer highway is the objective of this area patrol. Nigeria Police Force says it's determined and will continue to comb the Abuja-Kaduna highway and rail tracks and indeed every nook and cranny for criminals. With the patrol over, the police parade suspects, including the alleged mastermind of the Abuja-Kaduna train attack, Ibrahim Abdullahi, who is the leader of a kidnap syndicate terrorizing passengers plying the Abuja-Kaduna highway.
The same thing. This set of people are those that are attacking our power generation plants.
At a news conference in Kaduna, the police public relations officer explains how the suspect was arrested.
You will recollect that on 12th January 2024, police operatives attached to anti-kidnapping unit of Kaduna State Criminal Investigation Department (CID), based on credible information, swept in and arrested one Ibrahim Abdullahi, aka Mande, at Abuja Kaduna Road flyover by Rido Junction. The suspect confessed to being the leader of a kidnap syndicate terrorizing Kaduna Abuja highway, ranked among other criminals like Dogo Gide and Bello Toji.
The police reel out statistics of other suspects arrested from January 2024 to date.
On February 29, 2024, vigilant operatives of the Kaduna Command Monitoring Unit conducted a well-coordinated operations at the residence of a suspected kidnapper. On 7th of April 2024, police operative attached to the Force Intelligence Department Special Tactical Squad in Abuja, in collaboration with Operation Yaki operatives in Kaduna Command, arrested one Abubakar Umar, age 20 years. Please mark the age or ages of some of the suspects we are showcasing today.
On March the 28th, 2022, suspected terrorists bombed the Abuja-Kaduna rail tracks. The train derailed after an improvised explosive device planted by the terrorists exploded underneath one of the coaches. The terrorists surrounded the train, shooting sporadically and killing 9 passengers, after which over 100 others were abducted.
All right. So a number of developments playing out in the country across board. Yes, you've seen that particular report, but don't also forget that there have been cases of illegal mining, illegal bunkering. So looking at all of these scenarios, can we connect the dots? What's actually, is this a facade to an underlying challenge, a problem that we can't seem to pinpoint? We've got 2 gentlemen here to help us connect those dots. Honorable Ihezu Agbanaim, as a former member of the House of Reps, and sitting beside him, we also do have Solomon Adodo, who is a civil rights activist. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Mark Ware.
Good to see you, Honorable.
Good morning, long time, and good morning to those out there, both home and abroad.
Honorable, let me start.
I know you are everywhere, all over the world.
Yeah, we are. Let me start with you. Looking at all of these scenarios, because chances are that when you see one particular report, you may just take it on face value on that particular case, but there's several others. So, I know you've also spoken time and again about the illegal oil bunkering, how there seems to be so much going on behind the scenes that needs urgent action. So let me start with you. From your perspective, what is it that we're missing with all of these things that are going on?
Well, thank you, Chimbalin. Of course, we have discussed this extensively over the years, yourself, Mark Bell, when I was in the House of Reps. At the time, I moved a motion regarding this issue of undeclared crude oil that left Nigeria to a global destination. And I'll be discussing it, and a lot of people have shown so much interest, especially your station, who stood by me and giving it a wider coverage in order to, inform the public about the problem facing our dear nation. Let me tell you this. The issue of bunkering, oil theft in this country is going to require every Nigerians, patriotic Nigerians. When I always say that Nigeria, we are not broke, I mean it. Some people just believe that they own this country more than you and I. in a dubious manner. At the time, when I was in the house with myself as member of our committee, we traveled to Escravos just to go and see what's really going on, especially where they are, looting all these oil. We got there and we saw what was an eyesore. The meter, at least, when you are loading crude, there must be a meter knowing exactly the quantity that is being loaded to the tank. It will amaze you for you to know that this metering is outdated. Even the one, some of them that are working, purchased, owned at the IOC, calibrated, purchased by them, operated by them, to the detriment of all Nigerians. So bunkering, when you see, yes, I appreciate our current government, Mr. President Tinubu, is fighting the menace, trying to make sure that most of these problems are cut down to barest minimum, even though we cannot stop it. He's making huge effort, but also know there are also saboteurs, those who want to sabotage the government of the day, want to derail the will of progress of Mr. President moving forward. I said this many years ago about one singular man, Tom Polo, his effort. I was still living in the United States, in Bali. I came to do some business in Nigeria, there in Delta State. The former governor gave us to build 6 modular gas gathering plants. And we came, so foreign partners and Americans, even as at that time, the U.S. government, State Department, wrote a letter saying that no American should venture to enter the Niger Delta. But we are all afraid, seeing because of this militancy, kidnapping going on in the Niger Delta, as a result of the problem facing the reason why the youth have been marginalized, people abandoned, the waterway destroyed, fishermen can no longer fish, farmer can no longer farm. So there was a lot of agitation. So this man said to us that, look, all these things they are saying about bunkering, little here, little there, the real bunkers are those that will bring tankers coming to Nigeria, loot our treasury, load crude, and they go back. So now, it's still going on. So I think I must appreciate Mr. President for finding time to give the pipeline security, the ways and means how we can cut down on the corruption of bunkering, because that is our major problem in this country. Right. The Navy, the Army, the police, the MPA, all of them are supposed to be at the point of loading. When I went to the Escravo, none of them around. No. These people are having a free day. It's a free day for it to continue to happen. So I want everybody, seeing a crime be committed, Chimbali, seeing a crime be committed, and refusing to report the scene of that crime to the nearest law enforcement, you are as guilty as the man or woman who committed that crime. So every Nigerians, all of us, have to be patriotic to solve this menace. It didn't start yesterday. It didn't start under President Tinubu. It has been ongoing. It has been ongoing. Who are these people? Okay. Are they not human beings? So, who are these cabal that is doing that? We cannot. That is why I also challenge you. I saw sometime when channels went down to the Riverina area. Yeah, where there's a lot to unearth on that area. But let me ask you, Mr. Dodo. I mean, when I hear Honorable talk about there's a cabal, and then people see certain scenarios with the train, with the mining, with the oil, which might have been one of the longest challenges we've had. Could it be that, I don't know if we should say, can it be deliberate, or is it that we're overwhelmed,
Why do these things appear very difficult for us to address across board in different sectors?
Thank you very much for having me once more. And let me state very clearly that what you have stated is something that has been a striation through time. And these cabal, as we so call them, their aim and their intent is not just to loot or pilfer our resources, but is to turn every part of this country into cesspools of warfare, where you have militancy, you have militia, you have all kinds of things, arm them, and then let there be a conflagration of violence all over. We know how the Niger Delta was before the amnesty program, when some leaders of the ex-agitators met with the president and said, this is our region. How can we bring enduring peace? And one of those leaders was Chief Government Ekpemopolo, who we call Tom Polo. And if you look through time, over time, there has been building peace in the Niger Delta region. Look at what is happening in the north today. These people who are stealing our crude oil, what they want is a conflagration of violence everywhere. So that in the smoke screen of violence, they come, they take what belongs to our commonwealth, purify it, take it to all global destinations. We've lost billions of dollars in crude oil theft. Now, recently there were award of contracts for monitoring of pipelines, transporting our crude both within and outside the country, to ensure that this crude oil theft matter is brought down to the barest minimum. The NNPC, under the current GMD, they launched a war on crude oil theft. And one of the companies that we've seen doing well, again, because I want to drive at a point, the cabal again is at it. They want to ensure that every gain that has been recorded is reversed.
So the thing is this. I mean, I hear you say the contracts awarded. Should we even be talking about awarding contracts when we do have institutions of states established to ensure they protect certain facilities? The Navy can do a fantastic job in the first instance. So what is wrong with us ensuring that we have the Navy play a lead and extensive role above all else? And in addition to what Honorable said, have them at several loading points so that we can have a proper coordination. What's wrong with that?
Now, I will tell you something. As far back as 2017, I and my honorable brother here, we embarked on a patriotic odyssey on the issue of the security of our coastal waterways when Honorable Amechi was the Minister of Transport. And we're wondering, why will the Federal Ministry of Transport bring HLSI then for a $198 million contract for the securing of our coastal waterways? After thorough screenings, thorough scrutiny, several public hearings, the Navy also expressed the fact that there is a need for synergy. And that is where these contractors come in. They are not taking what the job of the Navy away from the Navy. For instance, I'll give you one instance. Let me use this Tantita, because we see that in the eye of the storm, Tantita has recorded so much progress.
What kind of progress have they recorded?
They have seized several vessels that are stealing crude oil across. At March last year, they've intercepted FP Amangwa, several other vessels that I cannot even begin to name. Then again, if you look at that Transfocados pipeline, we've seen that there has been a steady incline or increase in output along that axis. I think of up to almost about 200 barrels per day. That has added so much to our oil productivity.
How did they add so much? And what facility does Tantita have? Tantita cannot even go to 34 nautical miles. I mean, the level that the Navy has, Tantita cannot smell it.
Now,
why should there be a lot of emphasis on Tantita?
I will tell you something. Why there is this emphasis. And if there is no success recorded, you see, that is why we say there needs to be synergy. The Navy is operating deeper down in the waterways. Tantita is also operating. They have knowledge of the locals. They work with all of these people who should have been the enablers. So if you want to curb something, you begin from the root. And that is what is happening, and that is why we are seeing the steady gains recorded so far.
You know, it is interesting how Honorable said that he's been raising this since he was in the Assembly, in the National Assembly. Only recently, I mean, we know that the House of Representatives has already set up another committee, I think a petroleum upstream committee, as well as a few other members are also looking at this issue of crude oil theft, as well as the executive arm of government, who has also set up something headed by Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State. So all of these efforts, still, crude oil theft is still rampant. We're nowhere near the 2 million barrels per day, which we used to do. I think only recently, I'm trying to remember, the Minister for Security or Defense, beg your pardon, Minister of State for Defense was the one who was saying that, their efforts are paying off. We're producing about 1.4 million barrels per day. Now, while that might be commendable in terms of the progress, because you already said we're adding another, is it 200,000 barrels per day to what we already have? It's nowhere near the 2 million barrels which we're capable of doing. So all of these committees, and we've seen them pay visits, and we have also covered their visits to the Niger Delta. Do you really think that anything will come out of it?
Well, thank you, Mark. But you see, if we sit down and begin to lament without doing something about it, then we are part of the problem. I think I have to give them kudos. That's continuation, because government is continuous. Where we stopped, they are also doing exactly what we did, even though the last time they had a meeting in the area of further investigation, they also called on me. They are doing another one now. They are also reaching out to me to throw more light. Because I can tell you how much time, effort I put in with the support and the help of the United States government, especially the U.S. Customs. They stood by me. I was the chairman of U.S.-Nigeria relations in the House. So there are so many issues, so many information that sometimes I'm afraid of this great nation. The kind of money crude oil sold, money transferred to various banks, and those accounts, when I look at the money, it's mind-boggling. This is Nigeria's money. Are you with me? And I am happy that somebody is talking about it, because if you are not talking about it, that means we don't care. They are being patriotic, just like our late brother, friend, father, a senior brother to me, late Captain Osa Akumbo. Because of his patriotism, he spent his own resources at the time in order to see how he can combat the menace, this oil theft, pipeline vandalization. He spent his own money when the NNPC gave him anticipatory approval. Without one dime, he was able to help the country in order for us to have an increment in the oil production so that our economy can improve. Nigerians can benefit from these, resources. Now, what are we talking about? We started. Somebody is also going about it. Until we hit the head. We hit the head. All of you are talking about it now. The more we talk about it, the more we now go in-depthly. Like you went to the waterways. I saw channels going. I was shocked. Do you know what it takes to drive, to take a boat, to go to the creek? Have you been there? Have you traveled to see? It's scary. I've been there severally because my local government that I represented in the past, Ikara community, is part of the Riverina area that also have a lot of oil wells. That today there's pollution, destruction, farmland destroyed, the waterway destroyed, and to the detriment of our people. And you see, fire burning, gas being fled everywhere.
Yeah.
And this also at the end.
Yeah.
The end result is sickness, health-wise. So all I'm saying is that we should not stop. So I have to applaud the National Assembly for still taking the bull by the horn. It's a problem. It's a cancer that needs serious eradication. So that is why I will say, Captain Osa, form OMS. Now you're talking about
Honorable,
Navy.
if you can
Why
hear
should
me,
Navy
just
not
one
give it?
second, Honorable, if you can hear me. Perhaps one of the
Yes.
issues here is that of consequences or a lack of it. We have heard top government officials, governors, ministers mention and say, okay, this fellow or that fellow is culpable, but in most cases they shudder to name names. And we've heard things like, name and shame. We've heard that certain influential Nigerians are behind one area of security or the other. But what we do not hear is consequences for these things. And there are those who believe that without those consequences, these occurrences that you're talking about are going to continue. We can talk about them until kingdom come. Nothing will happen because there are no consequences. What kind of consequences should follow such things? And why does it seem like everyone is afraid or unable to mention the people to bring the people who are directly involved in these instances to justice?
Well, thank you very much, my dear brother from Lagos. I'll say this. I am full of confidence that as from henceforth, business is not going to be as usual because there's a new sheriff in town. That new sheriff is our President Tinubu, GCFRO, who I believe is going to hit the head. Those found wanting should face the wrath of the law. Look, people steal 100,000 of naira. They end up in prison, serving 10, 15 years. Here are people stealing billions through the back door, and they are going scot-free. Nothing is happening to them.
Honorable, in this government, my apologies, in this same government, we have heard a minister say there are certain individuals that are behind this thing, certain individuals are behind illegal mining, certain people, influential Nigerians, are behind certain kidnappings, and all we have heard is government is doing something. What is the something? If there is no consequence, kidnapping is not going to end. Oil thieving is not going to end. Maybe I should ask Mr. Adodo if he is as optimistic as you are. Mr. Adodo, are you as optimistic as Honorable Abu Naima about this particular matter, that indeed this will be curtailed? We've heard this, this rhetoric before. No consequences, and then there will be no abatement to the issues.
Well, we must state it very clear that we're in a war situation, and in a war situation, you must fight. The enemies of our nation, those who are embarking on these illegal activities, be it bunkering, illegal mining, and so on and so forth. But I'll be particular about this issue of crude oil theft. We must sustain the war. If we don't fight, there is no likelihood of victory. If we fight, there is a likelihood of victory. And in this fight, there is a need for a thorough synergy. What we have seen so far is a kind of communal ownership of the war against crude oil theft in the Niger Delta region. A synergy where most of these firms that are securing the pipelines are owned by leaders of this community. The youth of the community own the security outfit, and they bring proper reports. Again, let me also state that there is a need for double checks.
Mr. Adodo,
while the Navy is doing their
Mr.
part.
Adodo, just a second.
Yes.
I'm not sure that the question is being answered. Should there be consequences? We have heard, a long time from now. Previously, we heard that oil thieving in the Niger Delta has continued for 30 years. No one has been brought to book, to the best of my knowledge. Maybe I missed it. That's the question here. No consequences. This fight will be continuous. Who should be calling who to order?
That is the next point we need to get to. Because we've seen, I think the only thing from the records I have so far is the destruction of these vessels. We have not seen those behind, the big masquerades behind. Because if we do not punish them, if they don't serve jail term, if their properties, apart from the destruction of their vessels or the seizing of the crude, which belongs to the Nigerians, if more is not done against them, they will continue financing saboteurs, they will continue enriching their cabal. So we are using this medium to call on the president that it is not enough for us to keep backing. It is time for us to bite and bite very hard. Those who have stolen our crude, they should be prosecuted and they should serve long jail terms.
If I may add, Mr. Chamberlain, on this issue about no consequences, for me, enough is enough. There must be death sentence because it's appalling. This is disastrous. That is the reason people continue to embark on this hilarious manner of defrauding the country.
It's a matter that, of course, we will keep focusing on as much as we can. Any opportunity we do have to ensure that these things are done. But there are several recommendations out there. I mean, one of the latest one is that they're appealing to, I think, the federal government, for instance, all deactivated wellheads, let them be sealed properly for a start. Don't leave them for certain people to go and do certain things. Seal them properly. Let's start from there. You see what kind of impact that will have. So we'll separate the wheat from the chaff, in the manner of speaking. I'd like to thank both of you for coming on this morning. Solomon Adodo, civil rights activist, as well as Honorable Eyozo Agbanaima, former member of the House of Representatives.